So hello everyone. Today I'm making this video. I'm recording this session to share with you about using organ specific medicines. Using organ specific medicines in deep pathological cases, advanced pathological cases like cancer or any advanced pathological cases. Okay, so use of organ specific remedies. Organ specific remedies means those medicines which have action on only one specific system or organ, one or two organs or systems that they have their action and no other action. They will have action on only one particular organ or system, and so they are not well proved medicines. Their action is only on one specific organ, but they are very useful in practice. So ideally, when should we use these organ specific remedies, right? So on this topic I will share with you. Okay, so I would like to share my screen. Yeah. So I will share with you my screen to share what are Dr. Enman's views on this case. Okay, so, so I will show you few references in Dr. Enman's literature. So these are there are few cases. There's one-sided diseases. One-sided diseases means I will give few references related to this topic. Okay, so one-sided diseases means we there are very few symptoms, very few symptoms we will get in the patient. Okay, and these cases will be mostly advanced pathological cases, right? Advanced pathological cases where we don't get much symptoms, we will get very few symptoms, right? So in the approach, the rules and guidelines to treat such cases where we have very few symptoms, or advanced pathological cases where we have very few symptoms to prescribe, in such cases what is the approach, what are the rules, guidelines? So aphorism 172, aphorism 172 to aphorism 184. So we'll have a quick look at this aphorism 176. There are, however, still a few diseases where which present but one or two severe violent symptoms, which all others are but indistinctly perceptible, right? So very few symptoms, but those few symptoms will be very violent and troublesome, severe violent symptoms, right? And the very next aphorism we'll see 177, aphorism 177. In order to meet most successfully such a case as this, which is of very rare occurrence, right? Which is of very rare occurrence, we are in the first place to select, guided by these few symptoms, the medicine which in our judgment is the most homeopathically indicated, right? So in such cases, these one or two violent severe symptoms, these one or two violent severe symptoms will guide us to the selection of the medicine, right? Guided by these few symptoms, the medicine in which in our judgment is the most homeopathically indicated, right? So it most similar medicine to those few severe violent symptoms. So if you have a case of cancer, let's take example cancer, where uh, there are not much symptoms. Okay, cancer or any advanced pathological case where just one or two symptoms are there, and those symptoms are, if those symptoms are very severe, violent, very predominant, then we have to consider only those symptoms. We need to check which is that medicine which is similar to those few violent troublesome symptoms, which is that medicine which has a strong action on that particular affected part or system, right? So and such medicines, when we give such medicine which is similar only to few symptoms, so that medicine is not a it will be like a partial similar medicine, right? It will be like a partial similar medicine, right? Sometimes happen that this medicine selected in strict observance of the homeopathic law furnishes the similar artificial disease suited for annihilation of the present malady, and this is much more likely to happen when these few morbid symptoms are very striking, decidedly uncommon and peculiar. So if these few symptoms are very peculiar characteristic, then definitely we'll get result in such cases, right? So more frequently, however, the medicine first chosen in such a case will be only partially, that is to say, not exactly suitable, right? As there was considerable number of symptoms to guide to an accurate selection. So the medicine selected in such cases where we are getting very few symptoms, that medicine will be only partial similar, right? It will be only partial similar. But no doubt, even this partial similar medicine, if we give in very small dose, if we give it in very small dose, it will definitely be useful for the patient. It will definitely start the improvement in the patient, right? So we are talking about dealing patients with advanced pathological cases, and especially with very few symptoms, that is one-sided disease. So in such patients we will get only few symptoms, and these few symptoms, if they are very prominent, they are troublesome, severe, violent, only those violent, severe few symptoms we have to take in our totality. Check which are the medicines similar to those symptoms, check which are the medicines which are having prominent, predominant action on that particular system or affected part, right? So now, so in such cases, right, where there are not much symptoms, not much symptoms means only these few symptoms. When we say not much symptoms, means there are not many miasmatic symptoms, right? There are not many miasmatic symptoms in the case. So in a chronic disease, these miasmatic symptoms will help us to select the most similar anti-miasmatic medicine, right? They will help us to select the most similar anti-miasmatic medicine. But if there are not many miasmatic symptoms in a case, then we are left with only few symptoms. And if these few symptoms are very severe and violent, then in such cases we can make use of the organ specific remedies, right? Here comes the use of organ specific remedies, where there are not many miasmatic symptoms in the case, to guide us to the most similar medicine, to guide us to the most similar anti-miasmatic or antisoric medicine. We do not have many miasmatic symptoms, right? So in such cases we can make use of organ specific remedies, or remedies with action on only with remedies with action on very few organs or systems, or just one organ or two, one or more than one or two organs or system. They have their action on only one organ, or at max two to three organs, right? But mostly these organ specific remedies will be the remedies which have action mostly on one specific part or system. Like for example, terebinth, this, it has a predominant action on kidneys, right? Kidneys. Or there's one more medicine like agraphis nutans. Agraphis nutans, this medicine was first introduced by Dr. Cooper, who is a British homeopathic physician. This medicine agraphis nutans, this is a organ specific remedy, we can say. Why? Because it has, its action is on the nose. Its action on the nose. It is predominantly the symptoms are nasal obstruction, nose obstruction with enlarged adenoids. There is mouth breathing. When the patient has, especially the children, when they have mouth breathing at night in the sleep, they breathe through mouth, and mouth breathing due to enlarged adenoids. Due to enlarged adenoids, there is mouth breathing, right? So that's the only symptom in the patient and no other symptom, right? So this agraphis nutans is a very useful organ specific medicine, which has these symptoms: nasal obstruction, obstruction of nostrils, nose, due to enlarged adenoids, and there is mouth breathing. There is mouth breathing due to enlarged adenoids, and so nose obstruction. These are the only symptoms of that medicine, Agraphis nutans, right? So again, I will summarize in short. When we have a patient with very few symptoms to guide us to a medicine. So typically, which are these patients when we get very few symptoms? Especially, most probably, these are cases with advanced pathological cases. Like example, cancer is the typical example where the pathology is very much advanced, right? So in such cases, patient will have very few symptoms, very few symptoms. But now these, so very few symptoms, and the actual miasmatic symptoms are not there. We don't have miasmatic symptoms in the patient. There are not many miasmatic symptoms in the patient. Whatever few symptoms we have, they are very few, and they are not miasmatic symptoms, and they are very few, and but they are very predominant, violent, troublesome, right? There may be miasmatic symptoms, that one or two severe violent symptoms may be miasmatic symptoms, right? But it's just one or two. There are not many miasmatic symptoms to guide us to the most similar anti-miasmatic medicine. See, in a chronic disease, the root cause is a chronic miasm. So we have to treat the cure of such chronic disease, or the chronic miasms will happen only with anti-miasmatic medicine. It will happen only with anti-miasmatic medicine. But so to give an anti-miasmatic medicine, to select an anti-miasmatic medicine in any patient, we have to have sufficient number of miasmatic symptoms in that patient. So if your patient is having many miasmatic symptoms sufficient to guide you to the most appropriate anti-miasmatic medicine, then yes, in that case we should avoid organ specific remedies. We have to avoid organ specific remedies in that case. In that case, prefer a deep acting medicines like calcarea, sulfur, phosphorus. So these are mostly anti-miasmatic or antisoric medicines, the among the Dr. Henman's 48 antisoric medicines. So when we have sufficient, when your patient is having many miasmatic symptoms, then in that case you should prefer anti-miasmatic, antisoric medicines. You should avoid giving non-miasmatic, that is organ specific remedies. You should avoid giving organ specific remedies. So when to use organ specific remedies? Only in those patients where there are not many miasmatic symptoms, just one or two symptoms which are very violent, predominant, troublesome. So we need to check which are those organ specific remedies, which are those non-miasmatic medicine. We can also say non-miasmatic or non-antisoric medicines which have a predominant action on that particular organ or system, or that non-antisoric medicine which is similar to the patient's present few troublesome violent symptoms. So in that case, you can make use of organ specific remedies, right? I gave you an example of Terebinth, then this Agraphis nutans, right? So I will show you one case of Agraphis nutans, right? Let me show you. See, I'll show you the Agraphis nutans case. Just a minute. Sorry, much America. Agraphis nutans, right? So see here we have this uh, homeopathic recorder. The book name of the book is Homeopathic Recorder. In that book, Dr. Rudolf Rabe, right? He gives a case of Agraphis nutans, right? Agraphis nutans. Agraphis Newton's, right? So where he says there is one child, 6 years, 6.5 years girl child, right, who's who was having mouth breathing, right? Who was having mouth breathing, nose obstruction. Uh, this was uh, this was her chief complaint, right? This little girl, 6.5 years old girl, robust girl, plumpy, that is obese. She is obese, fat girl, and she had mumps, history of mumps, then whooping cough, then pneumonia, measles, right? Uh, these were her past symptoms, and she is very fat, and she has this she's emotional, she has bad dreams at night, right? uh, Very, she's touched by listening to sad stories, right? So so if you consider her all the symptoms, swelling of the cervical and submaxillary glands, right? She is subject to recurrent catarrhal colds, right? Recurrent respiratory infections. Her tonsils were visible, enlarged. Her speech was thick due to enlarged adenoids. So there are many miasmatic symptoms, right? There are many miasmatic symptoms in this case to guide us to the most antisoric, anti-miasmatic medicine, that is antisoric medicine, calcarea carb. So calcarea carb was given to this girl. See, calcarea carb 30, and then in the next higher potencies were given. So after calcarea carb, there was improvement at the general level. There was improvement at the general level. Generally, the child was doing well. She got relief in all her symptoms and everything. But the only symptom, see, in spite of these remedies, so after calcarea carb, even hepar sulf, ammonium carb, lycopodium, these medicines were also given. But in spite of these remedies given over a period of 2 years, with an improved general state of health, the thick speech and mouth breathing, which had always been a feature of the child's condition, continued. Means that mouth breathing due to enlarged adenoids, in that state there was no improvement. The condition, that pathological state of enlarged adenoids, right, with mouth breathing, that remained as it is. But overall, a general improvement is seen in the child's condition after a series of anti-miasmatic medicine, antisoric medicines like calcarea carb, hepar sulf, ammonium carb, lycopodium, right? So, in spite of giving the well-selected anti-miasmatic, antisoric medicine, patient is improving at the general level, but there was no improvement seen in the pathology, right? So so Dr. Rudolph, he decided to give Agraphis Newtons. Agraphis Newtons was now given with the slight improvement. This was continued at intervals and given for a period of 14 days. Marked improvement now became very evident with normal speech at this date, right? And no return of mouth breathing. The prognosis seems excellent for the gradual development of this child, now and 9.5 years old, into a healthy young woman with a normal breathing apparatus and natural speech and clear enunciation. So after Agraphis Newtons, which is an organ specific remedy, there was very fantastic, very good improvement in the mouth breathing. Her speech became clear, which was thick due to enlarged adenoids, and there was a permanent cure in those symptoms also, right? After Agraphis Newtons, which is having action, which is a very small non-antisoric medicine, right? So but with calcarea carb, with ammonium carb, lycopodium, hepar sulf, which were anti-miasmatic deep acting medicines, there was improvement at the general level. Everything was fine, but the pathology did not get reversed. I mean, that symptom due to enlarged adenoids, patient was having thick speech and mouth breathing. There was no improvement seen in those symptoms, which was seen after Agraphis Newtons, that is an organ specific remedy. So this important statement: in any morbid condition in which pathological change is in evidence, right? When there are pathological changes, provided that such change has not destroyed function, means the general condition of the patient is good, means patient is having advanced pathological state, but in spite of having advanced pathological state, patient's general condition is in good condition. It is general condition is very good. The vital parameters are stable, right? Good results and even cures can be looked for from the administration of our homeopathic remedies, right? So in such pathological cases where the general condition is in very good condition, we can expect good result, we can expect cure with our homeopathic remedies. After constitutional remedies, that is anti-miasmatic remedies, have removed the basic general symptoms, yet without curing the purely local ones, the little non-constitutional, that is non-miasmatic remedies such as Agraphis nutans are often capable of removing the local manifestations, especially when given in the lower potencies and in frequent doses, right? So he is saying, this Dr. Rudolph, right, who he is saying, in pathological cases when the general condition is in very good condition, right, the patient's general condition is in good condition, then in such cases we can opt for organ specific remedies, right? So in such pathological cases where after giving well selected anti-miasmatic, antisoric medicines or the constitutional medicine, after giving constitutional medicines or deep acting medicines or anti-miasmatic medicines, still there is no significant improvement in the pathology, means the symptoms have gone, everything is fine, generals are improved, everything is fine, but the actual pathological state that has not been reversed, right? Or the symptoms which are due to that pathology, those symptoms are as it is. So in such cases, we can think of giving these non-constitutional, non-miasmatic or non-antisoric medicines or organ-specific remedies. In such cases, we can give, and they are very useful. Right? Like this, in this case, it's Agraphis nutans. So first, calciricum, very typical. That girl was like a calciricum. She was, her physical constitution, her mentals, her symptoms, everything points to calciricum. But in spite of giving calciricum, there was no improvement. So after calciricum, there was improvement in the general condition. Her other miasmatic symptoms improved, right? But that condition, the recurrent catarrhal infections, even that was relieved, but the mouth breathing, enlarged adenoids, speech thick, there was no improvement. So which is that medicine which has those symptoms in its Matra Medica? So that was Agraphis nutans, which is a organ specific remedies, right? So this is the reference. So uh, so that is, see, this is the point. I mean, that's what I wanted to share with you with references, that these organ specific remedies we can think of giving only in those patients in whom we do not get many miasmatic symptoms. When you have a patient in whom there are no miasmatic symptoms, there are not many miasmatic symptoms to guide you to a most similar, most appropriate anti-miasmatic medicine, plus the general condition of the patient is in very good condition, the generally patient is doing well, his generals are good, and there are not many miasmatic symptoms, then in such cases, yes, we can think of organ specific or non-miasmatic medicines, or medicines which have action on very few, one or two organs or systems, and with very few symptoms. They are not well proved, very few symptoms Matra Medica we have available of those medicines. So we will get to see such medicines in Dr. Borik's Matra Medica, Clark Matra Medica. We will get the Matra Medica of such medicines. We will get to read these medicines in Boric Matra Medica, Clark Matra Medica, right? So once again, I will summarize. In patients in whom there are not many miasmatic symptoms, plus the generals are very good, generally patient is doing good, then in such patients we can think of using organ specific remedies, or remedies with very few symptoms, or remedies with which have action on only that particular part or system, right? So in such cases we can think of using the, organ specific remedies. So let the diagnosis be anything. let it be cancer, or let it be other tuberculosis, or any advanced pathological case, the diagnosis should not matter, right? The approach, the rules and guidelines will be same. Aphorism 172 to aphorism 184, right? The rules and guidelines will be same. In such cases, if we have very few symptoms, just one or two violent symptoms, then we have to consider only those few violent symptoms. But to this guideline, I will add Dr. Rudolf Rabe. I will add the reference of Dr. Rudolf Rabe, that when the general condition of the patient is good and there are very few symptoms, and the general condition is very good, then we can think of these non-antisuric medicines, non-antisuric medicines, organ-specific remedies, where there are not many miasmatic symptoms, right? In that case, we can think of organ-specific remedies. Also, you have already given anti-miasmatic medicine or deep acting medicines, you have already given, but in spite of giving well selected anti-miasmatic medicine, in spite of giving well selected deep acting medicine, still there is no result, still there the symptoms are as it is, then to remove those few symptoms which are as it is, in spite of giving well selected medicine, then you can think of the organ specific remedies, provided the general condition of the patient is good, provided there are not many miasmatic symptoms in the patient, right? So I hope you got the message, you got the approach, how to deal with such patients with very few symptoms, one-sided diseases. Also, when to use these organ specific remedies, or when to use these non-miasmatic or non-antisuric medicines, right? One more guideline is given by Dr. Anman in footnote 112, footnote 112, right? In sixth edition, Organon of Medicine, sixth edition, footnote 112, where in such diseases, in patients where in whom there are not many symptoms, okay, there are not many symptoms, the whatever symptoms you are getting, they are vague, general, means in those patients there are not as we spoke, ki very few symptoms, those few symptoms are troublesome, violent, severe, okay, but there may be few patients in whom there may not be any symptoms, not even violent, troublesome, severe, right? There may not be any symptoms which are violent or severe. Whatever symptoms they are having, they may be just general vague, like loss of appetite, tiredness, weakness, not getting enough sleep. These are the only symptoms. There are no violent severe symptoms. Whatever symptoms they are having, they are very vague. So it is a case like positive symptoms. There are no symptoms at all, no symptoms at all, not even violent severe symptoms, which will help us to guide. So in such cases, in such patients, what to do? So what is the approach that is given, how to solve such cases, that is given in footnote 112, 112. So in such cases, this may happen, the positive of symptoms may happen due to benumbed state of nerves, due to benumbed state of nerves. To remove this benumbed state of nerves, so that we may get few symptoms in the patient, so that few symptoms will become prominent in the patient, we should give a dose of opium. We have to give opium in such patient to remove the benumbed state of nerves, so that after giving opium, patient will come with few symptoms, the picture will become clear, patient will come with few symptoms, right? Patient will come with few symptoms, the picture will become clear. So in such cases, we have to give opium. After giving opium, the picture will become clear, and patient will come with few symptoms which will help you to guide to a medicine, which will help you to guide to a medicine. So where patient with, it may happen with patients with deep pathological cases, advanced pathological cases, or any patient, even if it is not an advanced pathology, a patient in whom there are not many symptoms, there are no symptoms, or whatever symptoms he is having, they are very vague general symptoms, they are not violent, they are not severe. so it doesn't help you to select any medicine. So in such patient, give opium. We have to give a dose of small dose of opium. After opium, that opium will remove that benumb state of nerves, and the picture will become clear. Means patient will, after few days of giving opium, patient will come with few symptoms which will later on guide you to a medicine, which will later on guide you to select one medicine, right? So make use of opium. Just don't forget use of opium in such patients, right? So this was all regarding this today's session. I hope this will help you in your practice. It's very important. The guidelines of Dr. Hanman are very important than the medicine selection. The medicine selection part comes later. First, you should be aware of the guidelines, the rules, regulations of Dr. Hanman. गाड़ी कैसी चलानी, how to drive a vehicle, that you should know, right? That you should know. If you know only the parts of the vehicle, where is the clutch, where is the accelerator, where is the gear, uh, you know just parts of the vehicle, but if you don't know when to use which part, it's of no use. So it's like if you know only the matra medica of any medicine, it's not sufficient. It's not sufficient. If just knowing matra medica of any medicine is not sufficient, if you know when, how to drive, how to use that matra medica, when to use that matra medica, how skillfully to use that matra medica, then your practice will become very easy, and you will be practicing smoothly, like we say na, smooth driving. So it will be like a smooth driving, your practice will be like a smooth driving, right? So I hope this session will help you in your practice. So thank you, thank you, thank you.